Okay, YouTube, this is a part one of my two-part 25,000 mile review of this 2014 Ram that I've had now for almost 2 years. If I do a quick little walk around this part, show some of the things I've done to the exterior, interior, quick overview of that, and then it should either be in the sidebar or I'll put a link in the description when I upload it. The second part, which will just be me rambling while I'm driving around this thing. First off, this is a Tradesman Edition truck, ST model. Biggest difference being that it now has Laramie rims on it, factory takeoffs I got on eBay. 200 miles on them, or almost the amount of money that brand new tires would have been, so what the hell. Threw side steps on there because the thing is quite high off the ground, and I can get into it, but most people who are 60 years old plus really need the steps, and I can carry quite a few people on this thing from time to time, so with the caretaking and whatnot. Threw on the back rack, protects the rear window since it's all one piece, no rear slider, so I envisioned myself doing was throwing a piece of firewood right through that back window and then having to buy a whole big piece of glass, so figured add some protection there. Threw these Duraflat mud flaps on front and rear. They protect the sides of the body pretty well, and how far they stick out. They kind of give it the grandpa look, but what the hell, function over form, I guess. For the back, I put on these rigid flush mount lights in the bumper, because trying to back up in dark with just the factory reverse lights was not exactly the easiest thing in the world. Only bad part about them is in the wintertime where they're LEDs, they don't put off enough ambient heat to melt snow, so unless you go wipe them off with snow buildup from driving and whatnot, then they're essentially useless because they get blocked off. In the back here, I do have the factory bed lining, or spray and bed liner, I should say. I did just come from work, so this thing is dirty as hell and whatnot, so you're seeing it in the raw. Factory bed liner is holding up pretty well. You can see the inner on the fender wells there getting dented up from rocks and wood and whatnot. Yeah, otherwise the spray and bed liner is doing all right. Come around the other side, pretty much the same story as the other side, apart from 4 to 5 inch exhaust tip I threw on there. Let's see, coming up to the front, since the stock headlights suck, I threw on this Amazon special 20-inch light bar to aid in lighting, although I can't really use it all the time, obviously, since it's insanely bright. You can see to the left here I got my plug-in for the block heater, and to the right I've got my Anderson plug for jumper cable setup. Moving inside, got switches right here in this panel right here for the front and rear lights. Got Husky floor liners front and rear. Threw this steering cover on just because I was starting to wear a smooth part in the 12 o'clock position of the steering wheel, since that's where I hold my hand 99% of the time while driving. El Cheapo seat covers just on the front, cheaped out and didn't get them for the back. Interior is wearing pretty well. The only real actual wear spot is on this button right here for the radio. Evidently I like to skip music quite a lot. Yeah, otherwise everything is holding up pretty decently. All the controls still function perfectly, nothing's stopped working. The only thing I will say briefly is that these buttons, and actually that shifter, the plus and minus on the shifter stock there, are kind of funky in the way in which they work. They don't always seem to operate when you push them, but sometimes they do. It's a little odd. The cruise control buttons seem to work perfectly no matter what you do, but these arrow buttons here, sometimes you'll hit them and you'll have to hit them 2 or 3 times, or deliberately push and hold for a second in order to get any result on that little screen in the center. Kind of odd. Other thing right here while we're right in this area, these door hinges have absolutely no resistance pretty much to, if you're on an incline or if there's any sort of wind, it will fold back on you quite easily, which is kind of annoying. Also, the hinge pin needs almost constant lubrication, like once a month at least, if not more. Otherwise this thing starts creaking. I mean, I've tried pretty much every single lubricant known to man on this thing, and good old PB Blaster seems to be about the best because you can get the straw in there and it's right in there, in that hinge pin. That's what makes all the noise. And every single door does it. Of course, this one does it the most since it's the one that gets used the most. But just kind of a small annoyance. But otherwise, I got no complaints with the interior of the truck. Do a quick shot under the hood. All stock affair under here pretty much, apart from my mishmash of wiring that I need to clean up from lights and jumper cable setup and whatnot. I did throw on AFE intake, which needs to get cleaned. As you can see, it's really dirty. Also threw on a crankcase vent filter to bypass the factory setup, which routes the crankcase vent into the intake tube pre-turbo, which, granted, this thing shouldn't have a tremendous amount of blow-by, but I don't like the idea of just oil vapors going right at the turbo. So I did that. I do get a crankcase vent code every once in a while, which pops up a check engine light, but I clear that and life goes on. It only really happens when I'm on long distances and towing. Otherwise, no issues. Probably look into that at some point and fix it properly, but you never know, that may never happen. Also did a Gino's Garage grill quick release kit. Got 2 pins on each side. Pop those off and the whole grill comes off along with this whole heavy duty piece right here. Just the only reason I did that just because it makes getting the winter front on a lot easier than trying to shove it by the headlight. And especially where Mother Nature seems to never make up her mind. It's not like it's 20 below for weeks on end. It seems like it's 20 below one day and 40 degrees the next. So I like to take it on and off, or end up taking it on and off quite a bit. So to me it makes sense. And yes, I'm lazy. I didn't clean up where the dealer spilt oil filling up the truck. He also spilt oil in the undercarriage when he pulled the filter off. I'm glad I'm over with my 4 free oil changes. I guess it was worth it monetarily wise, but yeah. Moving on. No, otherwise completely stock into the hood, and everything's going well. So now we're moving on to part 2, which, like I said, is gonna be me in truck driving and rambling on. So I'll put a link in down below. You can click on that if you wish. As Phil goes rambling by in the tonner, or wheeler rather, a little bit bigger than the tonner. So yeah, part 2 in the description. Thanks for watching.